Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 143 of the All in Football Fantasy Premier League show and podcast. I am your host, the self proclaimed FPL guru, Alex Rex, and joining me today for a very special edition of the All in Football Fantasy Premier League show podcast, a Club World Cup special, is the differential king himself, Barry Stokes. Barry, where in the world are you today?
I've just abandoned my car somewhere after boxing and thought, right, we need to get this going because first game's the deadline, as you can see there, is 15th of June at midnight. So yeah, gotta be quick, and we're gonna share some potential tips for you.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan to me. You on the protein shakes, I'm on the Peroni. That's what we're going to be doing tonight. So, yes, thank you so much for everyone for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on social media platforms, Olympic Pod, Olympic P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and the FPL Affairs Facebook group. You'll see some special graphics that Barry has done for us today that I've uploaded for us to have a look at now, giving you some idea of some players to pick and choose from here, and I'm sure we'll get them up on our socials as well. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, give us 5 stars where you get your podcast from, and click the little bell icon. Right. Let's get started, Baz. Let's cover the rules because there are a few different ones to FPL. I feel like I've seen 1,000 people try and explain it in a massively overly complicated way. Um, as easy as FPL with a few slightly different points, and the fact that you can make some transfers in the middle of game weeks, as in like within your own team. That's about it, really, isn't it?
Near enough. There's a few different chips as well thrown in. It's quite similar to the Champions League. I don't know if quite a few people did that one because you could change your captains as well as make subs. So if, for example, a defender didn't get the most points and you had four at the back, you could put a midfielder on and try and obviously get that advantage, and also change your captain as well because obviously the games obviously go through a bit. But I think you're only restricted to do that so many times, to be
Once.
honest.
So you can only change your captain once within a game week. That's the normal rules on this, unless this one's any
Yeah.
different. But normally it's a case of, and this is why. So the main sort of takeaway in terms of tactics to try and simplify it as best as possible for these sorts of games is in your starting 11 that you put out there, make sure they're playing before the players that play on your bench. Because if those players in the starting 11 do rubbish, you can put a substitute in the middle of a match day or a game week. That's the big difference, especially with the same with your captains. So you can change your captain once after the deadline. So the best example is, I think Harry Kane's playing in game week on the first day. I think that Bayern in group.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kane's playing in the first one. So if you've got Kane and Palmer as your two potential captain options, captain and vice, and Kane blanks, you can change it then to Palmer. You can only change it once, and that's it during a game week. But that's one of the key strategic plays when you're playing Club World Cup fantasy and these sorts of fantasy games that have slight differences. You have your players on your bench that are playing on like the 18th, 19th, and 20th of June, and start the players that are on the 16th, 17th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. I hope that's quite a clear way of describing it, because I've seen so many people try and there are now locked players and there are now unlocked players, and you can do this and do that, and it's very complicated. Um,
Yeah, it's plain and simple, that mate.
I
Straightforward.
bet you're excited about the differential thing, though, aren't you?
There's loads. Hence why I did loads of graphics on it. I thought, oh, let's look at this. I haven't put the ownership on there because obviously they change daily, but I've put the key stats of how many appearances they've had in 2024-25 season, including internationals, and also how many goals and assists. And also there's a few keepers on there as well. So save percentages and clean sheet. So to give you a good option to have a nice little cheap keeper or a different keeper because you're only allowed three players of one team. So yeah.
You are. So I think it starts off with 3 players from each team in the group stages. Then I think it goes to 4 and then 5, then 6, then 8. I think that's how it works in the final
Believe
of
so,
it.
yes.
Yeah, so he goes at 1, and it's you get 2 free transfers every match day, as it's called on here, or game week during the group stages, and then I think you get like three, four, five, then like six. I think it is as it goes up. I think it's one extra per round. But you have unlimited transfers for match day four because that's the first round of the knockouts.
Correct.
So, but you still get a wild card chip, which is interesting, don't you?
Yeah.
The key thing on the I ask you about the chips, Baz, the key thing on the differentials was wasn't it? If you have a player that's under 5% owned on your team at the beginning of the match day, and they get 4 points or more, they get an extra two bonus points. That's the that's the exciting thing for the differential king, which I bet he's very excited about getting stuck into putting all of these lowly owned players into his team.
That's it.
What other chips have we got, Baz?
So the chips, you've got a booster. So to use four available boosters, so you can use that. Wild card, as we just touched upon, 12th man, so you can have an additional point scorer. Maximum captain. Um, so whichever player scores the most points from your starting 11 is automatically assigned the captain. So me and you'll be great at that. So we use that every week.
The only, mate, it's the only, mate, I wish that was a fantasy thing. 'Cause it's the only way I'd ever get any captaincy points. Yeah, the 12th man one's interesting, isn't it? Because you can basically have a 12th player playing for you from outside of your 15. You can just add an extra player in who's point scoring. Um,
Yeah,
no budget for it as well. So you can
correct.
literally, if you want Dembele for 1 week, you can just have him. Doesn't matter if he's the most expensive player on the game, which I think he is roughly, probably similar to
So
maybe
10 million, I think. And then obviously
with
your
him.
Kane's, your Haalands, and
Ah,
Vinicius Junior and Mbappe's, and Messi's at 10.5 as well. So, yeah.
yeah, well, he's the glory pick, isn't he? That's for sure.
That's
Um,
it. And there's also a mystery booster that's revealed on match day three.
yeah, after the deadline. So
Professional
basically,
assistant manager.
don't do that. It's a special chip, isn't it, for the knockout rounds? So it's another
Correct.
one just to try and keep people involved and interested, isn't it, as well? So shall we? Was there any other bits and bats on the rules or the chips, Baz, or shall we have a look at the groups?
I think we could have a quick little look at it, but obviously we've kind of covered the base of it. So yeah, let's look at the groups and who to kind of target.
So, Group A, Palmeiras. I'm not going to do this for every group. Palmeiras,
Yeah.
Porto, Al Ahly, and into Miami. So that's Group A. We've got Group B, which is PSG, Atletico, Botafogo, and Seattle Sounders. Um, Trying to pick out teams here that probably have like the easiest groups, and
Yeah.
I looked at that and thought, well, Porto have got a half decent group there. That was a thought I had, and also I think there's quite a few differentials and bargains in that team. I think in terms of value, PSG
Sure is.
they play Atletico first game week, don't they? PSG Atletico.
Yeah.
So game weeks two and three, they seem interesting. That's interesting for your initial team pick, isn't it? Because they're both obviously they've got two pretty good fixtures after that, but a hard first one. Um, I mean, Bayern Munich have got to be high up on the list with that group, I think, haven't they?
Yeah, you got to be triple up on buying, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Auckland, Boca, and Benfica. It's got that's right up there, isn't it? Speaking of teams to potentially triple up on, you've got Chelsea in a group with Flamengo, Esperance de Tunis, and LA FC. So, yeah, I mean, I think did Flamengo win their Brazilian league this year?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I'll have
I
a look.
think they did. Yeah, I think they ran away with it, to be honest.
Um, that was the only other one, but again, Chelsea look like a team there which have got
The
which have,
problem, the problem with Chelsea is who's he going to start? It's a difficult one. Yeah, he's dropped a few names in there, but I think they're in the bomb squad. But obviously Madueke, Neto, your usual suspects are there as well. So it's going to be difficult to pick.
Flamenco, because apparently, so this is the thing. So they've only played 11 matches this season so far in that league, and they're top of the league. That's what it is. And not they won the league; they're top of their league. That's Flamenco. River Plate, Earl Red Diamonds, Monterrey, and Inter Milan. So Inter Milan have got a pretty good group there. And I think a lot of people have been looking at their defenders. Fluminense, Dortmund. Ulster HD and Mamelodi Sundowns. I mean, Dortmund have got an incredible group there, haven't they?
Yeah.
It's your three play. You
The,
get
the thing is, obviously, we keep talking about Europe teams, and where's it held? Again, obviously they've had a strenuous season. Could
yeah.
be some more shocks than we expect. So
Mm.
it's they'll not be running away with it, especially in obviously the climate that they'll be playing in. So yeah, it's something worth to thinking about to get one of these unsung heroes. But yeah,
It depends how deep you want to go into it. 'Cause I think everyone who does a lot of research will see like, Flamengo. I mean, I've just done a quick Google on them there. They've only conceded 4 goals in 11 games. So they're obviously pretty good at the back. And then you look at a team like Fluminense, who are fifth in the Brazilian league at the moment. They've lost 3 of their 11 matches, only won six. They've only scored 15 goals in 11 games in the Brazilian league. So already I'm looking at that group and I'm thinking probably a Dortmund defender. Just like off the top of my head in terms of a player, you're probably going to have one of those in your team, aren't you?
100%.
And then Group G is the City and Juventus group with Wydad AC and Al Ain. Key factor to this is Juventus playing Man City on the last match day. So
Hmm.
Juventus and Man City have two incredible fixtures to start off with, and then they play each other in the last match day. So you know, starting off with a couple of those guys would be great. You can get some cheaper differentials in from those guys. You never know who City are going to pay though, do they? Madrid, Al Hilal, Pak Chuka, and Red Bull Salzburg. Not the easiest group in the world, that I wouldn't have thought, but still, you'd expect Madrid to qualify. But yeah, I've not seen many Madrid players in many draft teams from my quick bit of research today and yesterday.
Yeah, they think defensively they've got a lot of injuries. Same with Bayern, defensively. So it's one of them. Like attackingly, you've got many options. Obviously, Bellingham and Mbappe, Vinicius. Obviously, Vinicius is a forward. I don't know what he was in Champions League. I think he probably was a forward on that as well, because I never played it. So yeah, it's and they're usually the main point scorers from Madrid. So it's a tricky one.
It is. So, should we start with Europe? Should we do that first?
Yeah,
Um,
why not? Since we've talked about them, I'm going to go. Yeah, they've got an easy group. They've
yeah.
got an easy group.
Well, I think yeah, I think we're just biased as well, though, aren't we? We're all going to lean towards
True.
European players to start with. So, let's start off with some differentials from Chelsea, City, Inter, and Juventus. Teams that we've already picked out have probably got easy fixtures to start with.
Yeah, so I touched upon ones a second ago for Chelsea. Madueke played really well against Andorra, but then came on against Senegal and didn't really look good. But it was a tricky game. England didn't really look good anyway. But obviously he's had 64 appearances, 17 goals and 11 assists. So that's why I've highlighted him as probably the one to get out of them three. Neto, we know what Neto can do. He can be very dangerous, easy on the eye, but he can be frustrating. You think you're going to get more points out of him. And Jackson, we don't know what type of Jackson is. If Jackson and Palmer link up, he could be a great little differential at 7.4. So for me, I picked them three, but for me, I'd probably be looking at Madueke because strikers, you probably want to be having the big boys in there. So yeah, for me, that would be the one on that. What about City for you? Anyone that I might have missed on that list of players?
It's
Want to talk
it's
through them?
it's really difficult because I look at the players that they've brought in and exactly like what you put here, you just don't know what the prices are going to be and who's going to start and who's not. So when I look at players like Reinders and Ait Nouri, those guys coming in, I think about whose positions they're probably going to take. So I've seen a lot of Guardiols in drafts. I wouldn't do it.
6.1.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. He's
Expensive.
expensive, and Ait Nouri is probably going to come in and play. I don't know if he's in the squad. This is the thing. I don't know a lot. I don't know if
He's picked. He's in the squad.
he's picked in the
Same
squad.
with Reinders is in the squad as well,
So,
and
okay.
Cherky as well.
Is he? Check he's in. Cool. So, I mean, Ait Nouri's going to play, isn't he, a bit? He's going to get minutes to get into that squad. So, I've seen a few Guardians. I wouldn't do that. I think so, no, for me personally. I think they defensively have looked pretty good. So, I mean, if I was going that way, someone like a Ruben Diaz, someone like that maybe might work as a player if you
Mhm.
want to go for a defender. Um, But no, I don't think you can look too far past Marmoush when he's 3 million cheaper than Haaland, and he's looked pretty good. He's somebody in the Premier League. He's somebody on that list which you've put on here. 29 goals and 14 assists in 56 appearances. I mean, he's basically got a return per appearance, hasn't he? Near enough. So
Yeah.
for me, out of that list, if I was going to go for a City asset, I'd probably try get maybe someone like a Ruben Dias and a Marmoush.
Yeah, I think Ryan does be an interesting point. See what he'd be priced at because obviously his goal return. I was quite shocked how many goals he actually scored. So he got played 60, got 18. I didn't think he was that offensive player, but it surprised me when I was doing it. He didn't get a lot of assists though. So yeah, I thought he might be an interesting one. If he's priced around 6.5 million to 7 million, could be good. But the problem is he's new to the squad. They might blend him in gently. So yeah, it's a
We're
difficult one, and we're down to the pep roulette again. We don't know.
we're at a risk, aren't we? And we do this in fantasy sometimes. We try like create a narrative and create something, don't we? We try think of we make almost make something up like a Reinders. We actually we have to remember we have absolutely no idea how he's going to play it in that City team, do we? And
Yeah,
that's the thing. We all really want to get him because he's new and it's great. And look at but we do this in FPL and we know right, okay. Reinders might be in everyone's teams in match day 4. He might be. He might be that player who's in everyone's team. But at the moment where he's not the sort of player that we're going to be sort of jumping all over. Ruben Dias is 5.8. So relatively expensive again. Just yeah, I think it's difficult. But yeah, I like Marmoush as a striking option. Um, what have you made of the Inter and Juventus picks then, Baz? Because yeah, I did look at Pavard as a potential player at 4.8.
the reason why I looked at that is because Bišćak got injured in the final. He looked like he'd
Yes.
done his hamstring, and
Hmm.
he was like the main centre off. And I was shocked Pavard actually started in the Champions League final. So I thought, well, he's going to be the natural replacement, and he's obviously cheaper than De Vrij as well. So for me, I thought a good option, cheaper option if you wanted to get a piece of that Inter Milan defence, especially with obviously their group that we touched upon, Çalhanoğlu. Um, is a great asset to have at 7.2 million if you want a mid-priced midfielder, 52 appearances, 13 goals and 8 assists. And he takes set pieces as well. So we don't know what obviously the teams that he's up against, putting them
Hmm.
balls in the box, obviously you never know. They also I've also put a new signing on there, Lewis and Henrique, signed from Marseille. Don't know what his price will be.
A 6.3. He's just come on the game.
What is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
6.3.
So 35 appearances, 9 goals and 9 assists. So not a bad return, but I think Thuram's someone to actually look at as well at 8.5. But he's round that same bracket as Mamouche, and I think I probably would rather have Mamouche than Thuram. But
Yeah.
if you want to go differential, it could be a potential option, especially with Inter Milan's easy group, and it could be another, depending on who they're playing match day, free.
Yeah,
Get rid
I
of
mean,
Mamouche and get Thuram, and
good
just
point.
play
So
that with.
Thuram's currently 4% owned. So he falls into that differential group. He has Monterrey, then Owa Red Diamonds, and then his game week 3 against River Plate is his hardest game. So again, he's got the same sort of fixture dynamic as Marmoush, but he is a differential, that's for sure. So I don't know what ownership Marmoush is, but I'll have a look at him as well. Juventus,
So Juventus, I put Francisco Conceição. Yeah, you know I'm going to mess up with some of these names, so I apologize right now if I butcher some names. I'll just let you and say, Alex, that person there. So yeah, so 45 appearances, 9 goals and 6 assists for a budget midfielder at 5.7 million. He's got better goals and assists than Thuram, who's zero point 0.3 more. I put a budget defender on there as well. If you want a piece of that Juventus defense for the first 2 game weeks. Um, and obviously the two strikers could be a good differential as well. I don't know what their ownerships are, but they're around that Mamouche price. And same again, I'd probably pick Mamouche over them too. So
yeah, Colin One is 2 point something. Vlahovic is 1.1 and a half. So they're both good differentials in terms of strikers.
that's it really on that, to be honest.
Let's look at then. We'll look at some other players from Europe, and let's go on to this one because we talked about a couple of these teams here as well when we were looking at groups that were pretty strong. Dortmund, you've got a long list of players here, and you absolutely should have a long list of players, I think, from Dortmund when you're looking at the group stages. So take us through one of the best teams to pick from in the tournament, Baz.
So yeah, so as you mentioned, sort of words out of my mouth. So there's a lot list. I don't know what the prices are because obviously it kept changing every week. So I was just like, I'll just cover this for the basis. So you've got the appearances, goals, and assists. But obviously the striker who's in bold, and I'm not even going to try and butcher his name.
Girassi.
54, yeah,
Girassi?
Gareth, yeah, whatever. Yeah, so 55 appearances, 40 goals, and 9 assists. So yeah, so if Kane wasn't in the Bundesliga, I think he would be the top goal scorer. So yeah, he's definitely one to look at. Obviously, his ownership is probably going to be low.
15.8, just pretty
Okay,
high.
so pretty high. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
actually in my team at this moment of time.
Yeah.
I've got a triple up of Haaland, him, and Mbappe at this moment of time. So
Mbappe.
I've got a really strong forward line, and then I've got Ryerson. I think 4.9 to get into that, where he's got 3 goals and 6 assists.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good way, and I always like a fullback. It's very rare that I get a centre half unless they're like ridiculously cheap, like a 4 million, and they're an aerial threat where they get some goals. So Waldemar could be a potential option. He's cheaper, 0.3 cheaper. So if you want a bit of that Dortmund defense, then that could be an option. But the other one, the more expensive one, is that 5.2 defender, 4 goals and 7 assists. So just slightly bit more. Is it worth that extra 0.3 if you wanted to get more potential attacking returns? But we don't know how it's going to play out. So for me, I'd rather go same tactics as FPL, quite cheapish at the back, and then go big in midfield and find the odd differential budget midfield, and then obviously have the main strikers as I've just touched upon.
Yeah, well, Dortmund play 3-5-2, 3-4-3, 3-4-3. Sorry, or a five. Like they play wing backs. That's what I'm trying to say. Let me just say it properly. They play wing backs, and the wing backs are Ryerson and Svensson, and the centre half Rami Bassenbani. He's like you say, the guy who's got 4 goals and 7 assists, who's quite expensive. Yeah, I think for me, I'm with you on Ryerson. He's in the draft that I put together. He was the player that I had him from Dortmund for a defense. So yeah, I agree with that. And 3 goals, 6 assists. You think you'd probably keep a few clean sheets as well. So yeah, I like that. And you can see you've got other players, Adeyemi, Gittins, Beer. It's difficult to see who it's. I think in terms of the triple up at the moment. So Ryerson, Girassi. Who's the third, Baz?
Probably Adeyemi.
Adeyemi, yeah. He was on there. I like I like Brandt's price.
Correct. I was thinking that.
That's the only thing that gets 1.5 cheaper than Adeyemi. Seems, do you know what I mean? That tempted me. I think if he was 7 million, I'd almost definitely go Adeyemi. So that's the only thing that tempts me. But yeah, I'm probably with you at this very moment in time. Adeyemi, Ryerson, and Girassi. Um, uh, of course, you've got Pacho on there for PSG, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, so obviously get into that PSG defense, Pacho. Obviously, the main people will be Nuno Mendes and Hakimi for definites. I was going to put Hakimi in, and then I realized who they got first game, so I was like, no, I'm not putting Hakimi in. So yeah, so Pacho's obviously in there, but for me, it was a toss up for a differential because I think there's obviously Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, but for me, Barcola looked good when he came on in the Champions League. 70 appearances, 25 goals and 19 assists. But Douay played considerably less. So and he's played like 20 less, but he's got
Mm.
16 and 16. So it's a difficult one. Who's going to play out of them too? So that's why it's one of them. I think wait and see who's going to start from them and then get on them. So it's going to be a good little look at who's going to start against it's Atletico, isn't it? They're playing first,
Yeah,
so
do you not think Barclay's price kills him compared to Doué though? I think Doué because the Champions League final in particular, the fact that he lit it up. If you've got 8.2 Dart Barkley or 8.2 Doué, you're going Doué, aren't you? If you're going to go PSG out of the two of them, you never not. I mean, I would. I mean, it's a little bit of bright light.
it's one of them. It's a coin flip, and me and you are the worst at coin flips. So yeah, so we'll guarantee we'll get it wrong.
Yeah,
But I just thought them two, yeah, uh, depending on who's starting, it'll be very good.
I feel
But
like my transfers from match week 1 to match week 2, if I don't have PSG players, will be two PSG players almost, won't they? Because, but
it's
so you might end up starting with one and then you can move to two. It's really difficult because I know your budget increases by 0.5 million into the knockout rounds, which it needs to because the more expensive players are the ones who are still going to be in. But Dembele at 10 mil when you've got Kane at 11 and stuff. It's just, I find it really, I know he's obviously one of the best world's best players, but to start with him feels like a big chunk of your budget when his first game's against Atletico Madrid.
yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Atletico, Alvarez has done all right since he went there, hasn't
Oh yeah, well we kind of knew he would anyway. To be honest, he's one of them players that just fits any because he can be a false nine, he can be a number nine. Um, I really like him as a player. I was gutted when Man City sold him. But for me, 60 goals, 33 goals. I'm surprised his assists. I thought he'd have got more than nine, and that's including internationals. So yeah, for me, he's the one to look at, especially at 9 million. It's relevantly cheap.
he?
But it's one of them. Who would you rather have, Garassi or Alvarez? Both
Yeah.
same price. It's
Yeah.
a tough one on that one.
Yeah, it's got to be. Anything is with the fixtures. It's Girassi, isn't it? That's just the thing, isn't it? You're going to go with him over Alvarez. I feel like he's someone who's going to always go under the radar. I feel like Atletico is going to go under my radar. 'Cause I don't think I'm going to start with any, and I can't imagine using transfers to get them in unless someone like sets the world on fire. I feel like I won't touch them till match week 4 if they get through and their run to the final looks good.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just one of those teams. Sane's highlighted here. He is he staying? What's going on
Yeah,
with?
he's been. That's why I kept it because I said to you I gave you a voice note when
Yeah,
I was in the car, and basically I was like, he's getting a free transfer for Galatasaray, and then I looked at the club, the announcement, who's in the squad, and Sane was in it, so I thought, oh, I'll keep him in there.
yeah,
Um, but the only problem is because he's leaving, he's not probably going to get the minutes, and someone else Gnabry might step up and get the minutes.
yeah.
So yeah, he's one of them defensively. The they've had a few injuries, so that's why I put Stanic in there for a potential option at 4.9 if you want to bet that buy in defence.
hmm
And then Tar, I don't know what his price tag is unless he's been announced since I did these.
Just
So yeah,
looking.
so for me, Stanic at 4.9, you're not going to get a lot of returns from him, but potentially clean sheets. So
One of the
it
other
could
lads,
be a
one of
cheap
the other lads
option.
I looked at who's played a few games for Bayern back end of the season was Bowie, 4.6 as a defender. I know he's got some minutes at the end of the season. Just somebody, and I'm saying this, I haven't looked into it enough yet to go buy him now. But Bowie, for me, at 4.6 as a Munich defender, um, he might turn out to be a nothing. But I'd have a look at him just because I've seen him get some minutes. I'm pretty sure, and he's only 0.2% owned. So just a
It's
shout.
worth the potential gamble because you can transfer him. I know it's wasting a transfer on a defender, but you could potentially start him because it's the first game, isn't it?
Yeah,
So and then just transfer him out
I'll do a,
or sub him out as well.
I'll do a little bit more research on that whilst you are going to talk about a couple of Madrid options.
So Madrid is quite difficult because we know obviously all the mainstays are, but trying to find a potential different one. I've gone for technically two defenders. We all know about Dean Howson. 5.2 million. I thought the price tag was a bit steep for him, but he's played 48, scored 4 goals and 4 assists. So from that, but that was for Bournemouth in the Premier League. So if he can replicate that and start for Real Madrid, it could be a potential good option to get a piece of that Real Madrid. And Sensio, I was worried about if he was going to get into the Club World Cup, especially with allegations going against him. But I'm not going to touch upon what the allegations are. So for me, he played quite a lot, and at 4.2 million for a regular starter in that Real Madrid defence, I know they had injuries, but that could be a very good option to have. But I'd be leering a bit because of the allegations. But he's been announced in the squad, so that could be an omen that he might start and get points for you.
So
So
Bowie.
them two probably be battling for the same position.
So just the only thing was Bowie came on for Kim when he got injured, and then he played the start of the next game, and then he also got an assist in the last game of the season. So just anyway, someone to keep an eye on. And maybe not in terms of minutes as much, but so anyway, I thought it was worth pointing out.
Yeah.
Um,
So otherwise I missed one. Sorry.
oh, do you know what? You didn't really in terms of minutes when I'm looking at that. It was a brief bit of research. I'd seen he'd played in three of the last four, and he'd got starts and stuff, and he got an assist. So I thought, well, you never know, but it looks like he's definitely not first choice whatsoever across the back four if players are fit. But we'll see about
Yeah.
their injuries. Uh, Benfica, Porto,
Benfica.
Porto have got to be up there as well as a team to pick from, haven't
Yeah, and I'll touch upon Benfica, then I'll touch upon Porto. So Benfica, some actually really good assets here, but the prices are a lot more expensive than what Porto's on, and I'll touch upon them.
they? Hmm.
So defenders wise, I was surprised Otamendi's still actually getting international appearances. Him and Romero at the back. But 10 goals for a centre half. We know obviously he's an aerial threat and obviously three assists. The only problem is it's 5.2 and he's in the league with Bayern. And then obviously you can go for the cheaper option with Carreras. Played 57, got 4 goals and 6 assists at 4.8. And then your midfield, I do like the look of that Ar Arcoglu, or however you pronounce it.
It's Actor Koglu,
Yeah,
I can
that
say.
one. So 56 appearances, 24 goals and 15. I was going to make him the main one, but I've made Pavlidis because 7.8 million, revenue mid-priced, just a bit less than Mamouche. So it's another one again. Would you rather have Mamouche or him? And to be honest, I think I'd probably rather have the guy on the screen, Pavlidis, because he's done it, and most are all Mamouche's assists and goals have come from when he played for Frankfurt, and not
Yeah,
so. So
true.
that's the one reason why I would probably go for that and invest that zero point 0.2 in somewhere else. So for me, that's why I'm potentially looking at that. But my strikers are nailed, I think, near enough.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so for
but
me, that's
probably.
why I would. That's why I highlighted him to
Well,
have that
it's a
comparison with
good
my
it's a
mate.
good person to highlight, mate, because when you look at Pavlidis and Agahoa, which is the striker for Porto, 19 goals apiece in the Premier League.
Yeah, so if you don't know, obviously Aguihoa is Samu for Porto. I
Yeah,
had to look at
sorry.
this and research it, so it confused me. I was like, "Where's this Samu guy? He's brilliant." And then I looked at it, and I was like, 4.2 million with them stats. I was like, "Oh Jesus, that's tempting me that." So
Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, I see where you're coming from on that one.
yeah. It's and anyone else from Porto you think's worth mentioning?
I think the Francesco Moura, 40 appearances, 4 goals and 10 assists for a 4.1 million defender. Absolute volume. All the drafts I've seen is him in it. Obviously, if you wanted to go that zero point 0.1 more and have 0 goals and 6 assists, Martin Fernandez. But I know which way I'd be going on that one and having that extra budget on there. A few others, Rodrigo Mora, cheap option as well for a midfielder. 18-year-old potential prospect coming in, 34 goals, 10 goals, and 5 assists. Gabri Vega, who was playing in Saudi Arabia and been bought recently. He's relevantly cheap for 11 goals and seven assists at 4.5 in midfield. And then I think they'll stand out for one because Francesco Moura has got them stats for a defender. I couldn't highlight Samu, so Agahoa, because 31 goals on a 4.2 million defender. If you wanted to just play two up front, there's your budget striker right there. No
Well,
brainer.
I was going to ask you with that because like for 4.2 mil for him, you I didn't even notice he was 4.2, something that went over my head. 7.5% owned for obvious reasons. I mean, surely he's a nailed on third striker if you're going for five across midfield to start, isn't he? He's already nailed. Like, why would you?
Yeah.
What, am I missing something obvious? Surely that seems like a really, really, really cheap price. I feel like it's almost so cheap that I'm confused.
Yeah, same with all the Porto. I'm thinking, what's happening here? Are they just not going to participate and just let everyone steamroll them and just wave the white flag and having uncontested goals or something? Because all the majority of their players are cheap.
Yeah.
And if you want, and in a league what they're in, you could potentially easily triple up on that. You could have Gabri Vega, Agahoa, and Mora, and there's three in a relatively easy group, and obviously quite a few of them are Portuguese, so the hot climate. So
Yeah.
it baffles me on who's priced Porto up. But yeah,
Yeah, it feels weird. And like Al Ali, who are the team that are they're playing, isn't it? Al Ali. Yeah. I keep getting confused because the badges are different to some of these, but where are Al Ali in their league?
I think they've got into Milan, haven't they? And whoever.
Yeah, but they've got into Miami, haven't they?
That's first game, isn't it?
Yeah, then Palmeiras. Anyway, I'm just sorry, I'm just having a look at Al Ali in the Egyptian league.
But
They won the
whilst you're
Egyptian.
doing that, should I talk about Salzburg?
Sorry, yeah, do that, mate. I'm sorry.
You were just like
I'm doing a
thinking
bit.
out loud.
I was. Apologies. Sorry, everyone.
So yeah, so Salzburg, there was actually a defender on there, but I looked at the announcement, the squad, and he wasn't actually on there. It was Tezic, who's actually a 5.1 million defender. But if you're paying, if you're spending 5.1 million on a defender at Salzburg, then when you can get other options that we've talked about, then I know you're hunting for them differentials. Even I'm not that bold. So yeah, so for me, the one that I liked the most was the Israeli midfielder that I'm not in Golaka, Golku,
Yeah, Goku. Yeah,
Golku. Um, so
Goku.
yeah, so
Goku.
6.1 million, 49 goals, 11, 49 goals. That'd be a steal, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
49 appearances, 11 goals and 10 assists. But Nene as well is up there as well, 6.3, got 19 goals and six assists. So. And then obviously they just signed that Kitano from Osaka,
yeah.
Japanese team. So and he's in the squad. So he's not on there yet. So for me, it could be a potential differential. But they're the main two that I just touched upon. And if you want to have a massive differential, Kent Sano when he comes onto it.
Looking at the North American lads, then. So they've obviously got a really good, a large amount of representatives. Talk us through into Miami because they're obviously the team that are the most marketable, Barry.
Yeah, so intimate Miami. Obviously, the main man's obviously on the screen there. Messi, the obviously the goals and assists that he's got warrants his price tag. But obviously, you could argue it. Well, it's in America. It's an easy league and stuff like that. But he's also still doing it for Argentina as well. So you got to put that into the equation as well. If you want a cheap starting keeper, Ustari, who used to be at Getafe. So all them ex-football manager players would know him quite a lot because he was like a wonder kid when he was many moons ago, 20 years ago when he was 18. And that's making it sound old, but I'm only stating facts.
Mm.
But the problem is his save percentage is a worrying one. But what do you expect when you've got 4 million keeper? 64.3%, two clean sheets. And then obviously, if you want a piece of that defence, it's a difficult one. Jordi Alba's up there. But for me, I'd probably go for that Noah Allen. 4.2 million, 24, got three assists, budget one. But then he's in the same bracket as that Francesco Mora. And he's going to be in everyone's team, I believe so. So for me, it's one of them. I probably wouldn't invest in the defence. I'll probably just have the cheap keeper and have a more expensive goalkeeper and just have him as a mainstay. But for me, Messi, 21 goals, 10 appearances. The only problem is it's 10.5. If he was around 9,
Yeah,
could be a
he's
good option.
too expensive, isn't he? That's the
Correct. Yeah,
thing.
he's the second expensive on the game after obviously the list I gave earlier in the pod. But Suarez maybe could be a shout, 8 million. But then it's the debate again. Would you rather have Marmoush or Suarez?
I mean, I'd rather have the Marmouche over the racist biter, to be honest. That's I can't. I mean, it's such a shame in it because Suarez is probably one of the greatest players I've ever watched play football in terms of tenacity, finishing, everything else. But the fact that he's obviously been racist, bitten people. I mean, massive diver. I think a lot of players are anyway. But yeah, and obviously he played for Liverpool, which obviously doesn't really help us
Yeah.
either. Yeah, just out of principle, he's just a player that I'm I find it a shame, but I can't stand him, so I'll never pick him. Inter Miami third in their part of the league in America, which is the Eastern, isn't it? And then the Western Conference is LAFC a fifth and Seattle Sounders a sixth. So none of them are having the greatest season in the world. I mean, just to put it into context, if you put the whole league together, which they do, Inter Miami are sixth, LA are 12th, and Seattle are 13th. Um,
Yeah.
they've got some American teams that obviously Seattle. I mean, Seattle Sounders get in, don't they? Because I mean of how incredible their ground is and their fans are and their supporters. I mean, they're notorious for creating incredible atmospheres as far as I'm aware. And I've no idea what LA Football Club are doing in there, but
They won a qualifier or something.
they won a raffle, did
Yeah,
they?
yeah, I think it was. I think they played like a Mexican team and they won. So yeah,
Brilliant.
and that made them
Buanga?
qualify. Hence why in Chelsea's group there was like no one there. It was unassigned, and then obviously they won and
Oh,
got in.
was that because did Leon get kicked out or something? Who got kicked out?
I don't know.
Was it Leon? I think it was Leon. Anyway, I'll look that up as well. While instead of
Yeah,
waffling, you tell us about these other guys on the screen.
yeah, so I've touched upon the American ones that you mentioned. There's only two because, as Alex mentioned, that there isn't they're not obviously brilliant players from there. Obviously, they're not doing very well in the league. Bunagi is probably one of the standout ones for three appearances, 18 goals and 9 assists. Looks good. But it was 7 million, a bit probably steep for that one. Rusnak, 5.4 for Seattle Sounders. He's got 30 appearances, 8 goals and 3 assists, so could be a potential option on that. And then obviously the Mexican ones, Montera, got Sergio Ramos still playing. Nine appearances, 4 goals. So
Takes pens,
yeah,
don't he? Does he take
yeah,
pens?
I believe so. If he doesn't put him in Rosette. So the one that I like the most is Sergio Canales. He's another wonder kid on old Football Manager games. 42 goals, 18 goals, 13 assists and 42 appearances. So, and at 6.1, he's like a low mid price midfielder because there's quite a few ones on that.
I didn't
And then
realize.
obviously, go on,
Sorry,
sorry.
so it was Club Leon who got kicked out of the Mexican team, and they because apparently they've got the same ownership as Pachuca, who are in.
Well,
So,
that leads me nicely to talk about Pachuca, doesn't it?
but yeah, Pachuca apparently owned them basically.
Ah,
So they breached multi-club rules, so they got
yeah,
kicked
that's
out,
it.
and that's why the other playoff happened.
So the man on the screen, Premier League flop, Rodon.
Rondon, Solomon,
Rondon. Rondon. 49 appearances, 21 goals and 5 assists. It's probably the one that would interest me the most out of them if I wanted to invest in one of their players. There is obviously other potential options with a cheap defender who's played 25, 1 goal and 4 assists at 4.1. So if you want to have a 3-5-2 formation, then you've got two budget defenders straight away with Carlos Sanchez and Mora, who obviously get returns. So that could be potential the go-to formation, especially when you can have a cheap striker like Agoa. So yeah,
interesting.
for me, there's different variations, and I'm excited to see who's gonna pick who. So,
Did you
but
did you cover Rusnak off? Sorry, at Sounders.
yeah, I covered him off. Yeah, there wasn't. There's
Nice.
like I said, the LA and Seattle players. There's only one to pick from each team, and as you mentioned in the league, they're not doing great. So yeah, we don't want to be investing in them.
From North America to South America, um, talk to me through the teams that are on the list.
Yeah, so Boca Juniors. There's only really striker options I've found in theirs. They're not prolific of such, so I just had to obviously put them obviously down there. I've got Marinaccio, or however you pronounce it. He's got 22 appearances, 7 goals and 3 assists. He's the one that I've highlighted as probably because he's played the most and got the most goals. So for me, he would be the one. But at 6.2, when you can get a 4.2, that's obviously outdone him. It's a no-brainer on that. The Flamengo, as you mentioned, they've only conceded very little, and you can have a piece of that goalkeeping action with Rossi at 5.3 million, 26 appearances, 80.1% save percentage, and 18 clean sheets. So if you wanted to go different with your goalkeeper, then he could potentially be an option. Obviously, the Uruguayan midfielder who scored, I think last night. I can't even going to pronounce his name. 6.2. He was in my team, and then I was tempted to take him out. 39 appearances this season, 13 goals and 6 assists. And yeah, it was a toss up who out of them two would be a decent signing. And I went for Rossi to give that goalkeeper option.
Mm.
Um,
I like it, Baz, by the way. In terms of a goalkeeper option, like he plays a team I can't pronounce to start with. Then he has Chelsea, and then they've got LAFC. So I think two out of those three, if you're trying to save a little bit of money, maybe, yeah, it's not a bad shout really as a goalkeeper. That I'll just that I think highlight him as a good point.
so River Plate, there's another cheap keeper on there. He's probably one of the keepers that I would invest in. I think he's my sub keeper at this moment is Amani. 4 million, 24 appearances, low save percentage, 62.25 compared to obviously Rossi and Weatherton, who I'll touch upon in a second, but 12 assists, 12 clean sheets. So obviously he does keep clean sheets, so they're relevantly strong at the back, but he doesn't save a lot. But hopefully he doesn't to face because the defense might be strong in front. And one of them could be that Montel, 5.1. But are you going to waste 5.1 on a River Plate defender? 2 goals, 4 assists. But the wonder kid that's potentially linked with Real Madrid, who I've highlighted, Master Noe or Nono, one of those. You be my go.
Mastantuono, I think it is.
Yeah,
Mastantuono.
that sounds right compared to my butcher performance. 28 appearances, 7 goals and 4 assists, 4.3 midfielder, so cheap. Um, and it's a toss up between him and that Mora for Porto for your cheap midfielder, to be honest.
Yeah,
Botafogo, gone for an ex Man United player, Alex Telles.
the boy.
Uh, 26 appearances, 3 goals and 1 assist. He's the only one that I can really stand out to pick from them.
Mm.
Defenders going on to Fluminense. Samuel Xavier is the one that I highlighted at 4.2 million. 24 appearances, 4 goals and 2 assists. I like the more goals than assists for a defender.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the one reason why he was on there. And then the striker Senna, who's got Cerna, 7 goals, 2 assists is not really great, but he is a budget at 4.7. But as we touched upon, you're probably going to go for Agahoa. And then John Ares, three goals and 12 assists. So he's assist master more than he's a passer, not a shooter. So
Yeah, you're right with Xavier, by the way. I think personally, as maybe a defender, like considering I know he's an older statesman, but he has obviously got Dortmund first, but then he's got Ulsan HD and then Mamelodi Sundowns. So I feel like he's the sort of player that at 0.3% owned, he could be someone who gets you some returns in the second and third game weeks, and yeah, 0.3% owned. He's very unlikely to be brought in by anybody as well. Um, Palmeiras.
Palmeiras, I've highlighted the goalkeeper, so we've got two goalkeepers highlighted here.
It's a
And for
throwback, isn't
me,
it? Weatherton. That's a proper throwback that I
yeah,
quite
that's
like.
it. 4.9, so he's cheaper than Rossi. Got one less clean sheet, but he's got better save percentage, 83.5. So for me, I think if you're going for a punt on a goalkeeper, I think I'd rather potentially probably have him than Rossi, due to the fact he's cheaper, makes more saves. So for me, that's why I highlighted him as that. Um, Defender Piqueras, 30 appearances, 3 goals, 3 assists, 4.9. So a high budget, high mid price defender. Maurice Vega, midfielder wise, they've alternated in the 7 and 3, 7 goals and 3 assists, and the difference between them. The young prodigy they've got is Estevao, 37 appearances, 11 goals and 4 assists. So he's like potentially going to be like the next Hendrick.
Mm.
So for me, he's one to keep an eye on. It could be him and Matt Swaney, or whoever you pronounce that River Plate player. They could be the young players of the tournament. So they're definitely ones to keep an eye out. The only problem is it's 5.5 million, so it's quite expensive for a forward compared to, obviously, I keep saying his name, Agawa. And then obviously Flacco Lopez is on there to give you an alternative if you wanted to have someone different at
Nice,
10
nice.
goals.
Sounds good.
Assists.
Let's. I think that the main team to focus on at these is Al Ali, isn't it? Really, in terms of the squads and these ones. I mean, there's a few others on here, but unless there's anyone else, you obviously you'll point out maybe the bold players here, but let's do Al Ali. Top
Yeah, Ali,
winners.
Iman Asho, 4.7, another very budget midfielder, 40 appearances, 19 goals, 9 assists. Um, He's definitely potentially, yeah, one of them players on your radar. Don't know what his ownership is, but probably at that rate, at that price, and if anyone's looked at his goals and assist return, and they're playing into Miami, so you don't know obviously what the result is. You'd think into Miami will be strong, but defensively, as touched upon, Ustaro doesn't concede. He concedes quite a lot. He's only got very low clean sheets, so it could be a surprise, especially on the
Yeah,
first game. But
31.7% owned for a reason, and he.
yeah, so that'd be why. And then Trezeguet's not on there. I was surprised. I tried to look for him. Tried to look for him for his other name. I think it was something like Mahmoud Hassan is his other name, and that wasn't even on there. So yeah, if he comes on there and he's relevantly cheap, because I think the most expensive player for them is 5 million. So if he's 5 million, it's still cheap. 41 appearances, 16 goals and 7 assists.
Yeah.
Could be another potential option.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they'll be the only ones really to look at. You can look at Sundowns. Lucas Ribeiro's got decent stats, but at 5.7, you're probably going to stay away from that. Mahula
Yeah.
at Wadad Casablanca, 14 goals and 8 assists. Could be a potential option, but same again, 5.3. Cheap defender, as we touched upon, but are you going to go into for ES Tunis defender? 5 goals and 3 assists, but for a 4 million defender, could be an option. But as we talked about, their group is quite strong. So yeah,
Well,
I think
I think that's it's good though for you to mention that because I think there's a couple of players that we brought up on here, and the Kinos will play it like it should be. Players early, probably a relatively strongish bench. Have a 15 from the stronger European teams and everything else, and make transfer. I keep saying transfers. Transfers is wrong. Make starting 11 changes in the middle of the match week. I feel
Mhm.
like people who are keen will do that. If you are a bit more of a casual who just wants to do your transfers before every match week, you know, these cheaper defenders, they're good squad players. If you put and play a 3-5-2, sticking Bushniba on your bench for a 4 mil, there's not wrong with that. Just he's the sort of player that you could put on there who just to sit there for you. Um, you never know. He
or
might
even if
come
they've
on,
got an
might
early
just go.
fixture, gamble and play him. You never
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
And then you can always sub him out, can't you? So it's worth a little punt on a 4 million defender, especially when he's got 5 goals and 3 assists.
They're just all so expensive, aren't they? These sort of European players. So I think it's a
Off from
good.
Porto.
Apart from weirdly Porter seems so cheap. I feel like when something's so cheap, you feel like you missed something.
Yeah,
I feel like I missed a memo. Like, are they just like you said? Are they just gonna just play attack v defense or something and not be allowed over the halfway line? It just feels very like it just feels weird, doesn't it? Anyway, talk about the highlighted players on the Asia Oceanic players because I can't imagine these guys are going to be in anyone's teams really.
yeah. I'll
Unless
touch upon Auckland City. I got confused and I actually put Auckland FC that play in Australia, but these are actually playing New Zealand. I was thinking, why ain't any player like registered here? I was well confused, but that'll be why. So the one I picked out was Bevan, 5 million, 10 appearances, 10 goals. So good, very good strike rate. But obviously he's playing New Zealand football. Don't know what the standard's like. If he's anything like Chris Wood, then fair play to him. But I can't, yeah, I can't see it being obviously as Chris Wood standard, unfortunately. Um, for Ulsan, I picked another forward, Fahaz, or however you pronounce it. 6 million, 26 appearances, 12 goals. And then one Tanabe, 5.4 for Uri Red Dragons. I'll just
yeah,
call them Red Dragons, be easier. 17 appearances, 6 goals and 1 assist. But same again with them. I think they're probably priced too high, um, because you can get other budgets in that in for the forward line and midfield that have got better returns and better appearances. I think the ones to watch are like the United Arab Emirates teams and the Saudi team. I think they're the ones to watch because obviously they pump a lot of money in it. And Al Ain Ain have just signed Rio Patricio as their
okay.
goalkeeper. So obviously a very experienced goalkeeper, unsure what they like defensively. But I've put 2 assets on there. Jassis at 4 million, 2 goals, 3 assists, another 4 million budget
Mhm.
at a better team, you could argue. But the problem is Al Ain, his group is very strong. So
Yeah,
that's the only downside to that one. Eric's on there, he's got five assists, but obviously a bit more expensive at 0.9
yeah.
more.
You're never
I
buying
think
him at
he's
4.9 here. Yeah,
correct. So I've highlighted Romero just for the stats of 45 appearances, 10 goals and 13 assists. So he's definitely one to look at, 5.6 midfielder. And obviously there's 2 other strikers on there. But I think the one that is a mainstay in my team is the captain for Al Hal, Al Dashwari,
okay.
53 appearances, 28 goals and 19 assists. That's
Okay.
frightening figures. So,
50,
and he's at
15 goals.
5.6
Yeah,
million.
15 goals in the league this season. Mitrovic has only got 19. I mean, this team, I think the Al Hilal, the point I wanted to make about them was they're the top scorers in the Saudi Pro League by quite some way. They're second in the league, um, because Al Ittihad have kept we get more clean sheets basically. But yeah, 95 goals in 34 games.
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy stats. And obviously,
Yeah.
a defender I've got in my team is Rennie Loddy. Four goals and 9 appearances at 4.5 million. I
Nine
think
assists, very nice.
I
Yeah.
think that's a decent one. I might reevaluate it because obviously I might play it tactical and go who's got decent fixtures. Because I think at the moment I think I've only got one buy-in player, and obviously playing Auckland City,
Yeah.
I think I need a triple up on that. So I might reevaluate it on
Hmm.
that. But there is some really good players in this Al Hilal team. Malcolm could be one of them. Mitrovic, we all know how good he can be. So yeah, so there's plenty of options to pick, and I'd probably stay away from João Cancelo because the price, 5.5 million.
Yes, a
But
lot, isn't it?
we all know what he can do, but has he passed it now? That's that's
But
it.
11 assists is great, but wow. Yeah, I mean they've got players like Koulibaly, like say Lodi Cancelo, so they've got a pretty well-known team at the back. They've got Ruben Neves, Milenkovic Savic, who's obviously a class player, and then they've got players like Malcolm and Mitrovic up front. They've obviously got these Al Jawsari who's performing very, very well. Um,
I
they're
put
they're
Sorry, sorry. There is actually a 4 million striker on there that I thought was quite interesting.
Okay.
38, 38 appearances, 25 goals and 3 assists. So if you didn't want to go for the Agwawi or Agahawa, then he could potentially be an option. The only problem is, does he start every game? So while
Well,
looks he plays quite a bit.
he
So
started three of the last four. Looking at this, and
so
he came on as a sub as well in one of them. Yeah, it has three of the last four and four of the last no, five of the last seven, six last seven, eight, seven. Yeah, yeah, he does start a lot. To be fair, does
so yeah,
start.
so he could be a good differential. What's his ownership, Alex? Do you know off the top of your head, mate? Uh,
I do not know off the top of my head. Unfortunately, I am
threw,
not.
threw you on the bus on that one, answer. So yeah, so
I'm not good enough yet at that one, mate. But I will get there because I'm a sad man. And then also, I will tell you now, 0.6%.
wow. So he could be a massive differential. Especially what was Agahoa's what was his one?
Uh,
30 up, was it? Or something?
yeah, it was high. But I'll tell you what it was. I'll let you know right
So
now.
yeah, you could look at the difference between them and go, actually, they want to get them extra 2 points if this guy performs. Well,
7.5. Yes, so he's not a differential. Whereas Marcus Leonardo is just a harder group, aren't they? LL.
yeah, but they've got a strong team.
They have, yeah, yeah, they have in terms of the Saudi league,
Koulibaly looked solid last night. So yeah, it's
unfortunately.
mm, yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at players like that. Yeah, they're probably one of the better ones in terms of pick. So those are that's the run through of the actual league itself. Um, overarching thoughts in terms of potential tactics and also ways of going about it. Do we think we're looking at predominant? Are you going to go about it like a predominantly European squad with a few differentials to throw in there from different places, or how are you going for a proper mix, Baz? And which teams are you targeting specifically just
I'm
to
going to
sort of
potentially look at a fixture by fixture. So, say for example, like Man City, I've got the worst fixture back end. So the problem is obviously it's Pep roulette. So if I go right, okay, I'm going to pick Haaland and someone else, for example, maybe Eight Nora if he comes on and he's relevantly cheap.
Mhm.
But then obviously is he going to start? So it's difficult on that. So I'm thinking I'm going to probably have Ian buying early on. I've seen quite a few people use the 12th man and having like Elise,
Mm.
Kane, a buying like Noor in goal, and then having like Musala or another player buying player as the third man. So yeah, I think that could be a potential option. But then you're using a chip early doors, and then obviously it's one of them. I like to reserve my chips. I haven't really looked at my chip strategies just yet. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I've played a few of these games in the past, like and you know you end up just getting sucked into it. I mean, generally the easier fixtures are at the beginning. I mean, this is obvious, isn't it, really? The
yeah.
easier fixtures are at the beginning. So for me, 12th man, I'd absolutely be using in the group stages, 100%. Yeah. I would also be using my maximum captain in the group stages. Again, you know, you've just got the easiest games. You probably you've got to target the teams at the weakest with the teams that are the strongest. So two of the weeks I'll be using those chips. I know that if I'm doing it 100% because they're the easiest fixtures. The rest of them, I feel like wild cards really interesting. I don't really know tactically
So, my
when the
my
best
thoughts
time is
on
to
it.
play these.
Yeah, my thoughts on it is I'll probably use Limitless in the final
Mm,
to go strong on that.
maybe. Yeah.
Um, or maybe semis, and then potentially wild card for the final if I've gone over compensated on one team and there's a shock that's happened, and then I can have like basically two free hits at the back end of the season. So, and especially if I'm in like a league where I want to win, and I can look at other teams and go, right, well, they might make this transfer. What chips they got left? If you want to look at it in that way. So
Mm.
for me, I think that could be a potential way to do it and have technically two free hits at the back end. So
Yeah, I wanted to see how it was. I think I like the idea of the using of the sort of wild card as it were, probably in the semi-finals. So yeah, wild card. Like to make unlimited transfers in the specific round. Obviously, can't be used. The point. Yeah, 12th man. Um, starting maximum captain. Yeah, yeah. Probably wild card. Probably wild cards like sort of quarters, semis, something like that. Probably semis, maybe. Because you get so many free transfers like towards the end, it feels like you can. It feels like you can quite easily like. Do you know what I mean? Like use it later on. I feel like yeah, maximum captains and 12th man. I mean, 12th man. I'm certainly using in the group stage. Maximum captain. I'm going to be using the group stages as well. Because yeah, I might maximum captain game week one
what
because
Kane?
well, yeah, I mean maybe, but double
But two
points.
and two for international, and he got came off quite early, didn't he, against Senegal? So
The thing is, you just get maximum captain. You just get maximum points for whichever player it is that gets the most points in your team, don't you?
oh yeah, true, yeah, I forgot about that one. Oh, yeah,
So
sorry.
I feel like some players might get randomly rested, and some players might get like it. It just feels a bit of a maybe I'll just go for that because then I'll pick. Yeah, might just get the player that does the most. Yeah, probably. Yeah, let's say that. Right. Chip strategy, everybody, from the experts who've just thought about it right now. Maximum captain game week one, 12th man game week two, game week three. Why not? Wing it. Game week four, you get unlimited anyway. Game week five, roll with it. Game week six, use your wild card. And game week seven, use your mystery booster, whatever it is. Happy days. There you go. Chip strategy done.
That's it, easy. Clip it.
Yeah, we've done this for a while, Baz. We're fine.
Yeah, and then was there a limitless one? Was there, or was I just made
No,
that?
no, it was just wild card.
That's what I did in Champions League, right? Or
Yeah.
it was Europe actually, Euros.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it was
It
limitless
was
as
in
well.
Euros one.
Yeah, so I feel like this might be the way forward. But yeah, so I think the last thing to mention before we wrap up is, can you remember what your current draft is? Um,
I can get it up, mate. There's no worries about that. But obviously, this is going to potentially change after our conversation because
yes.
I've just thought about it and gone, hold on a minute. Let's play this more tactically. I've just gone, oh yeah, I like look at the price of him. I like the price of him. And go, oh yeah, look at him as well. Oh yeah.
I just get way
So
too involved in this stuff, mate. It's the as you can imagine, it's sort
I've
of
gone for I've got Jan Sommer in goal.
yes,
Amani is my sub keeper.
nice.
Bryson, Alexander Arnold, Francesco Mora. My two defenders are Samuel Xavier and Rennie Lodi.
Hmm.
And then midfield of Dembele, Elise, Romero, Rodrigo Mora, Al Dashwari, and
Nice.
then my strikers, Garassi, Haaland, and Mbappe is my current team. So,
Nice.
so as I meant, it's very Europe based, but there is obviously quite a few different ones on there. I've got five that don't play in Europe, but are currently sitting on my bench, apart from one of them.
Yes. There you
Um,
go. Yeah. Well, I think that all makes sense in terms of differentials. But right, let's wrap it up there. 'Cause we've done about an hour, aren't we there? So that's pretty good.
yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's not so bad. Yeah, that's us foraying into the world of a different type of fantasy game for the first time on the podcast. But it's same but different. But it's always interesting to talk about these sorts of different formats and tactics and ways of thinking it. A lot of players who play fantasy football really enjoy playing these games because you can tinker in the middle of match weeks, and then also there's obviously less players who play it, so you've just got one chance of winning it. So
Yeah, probably one reason I'm thinking my game rank might be good on this one because I can tinker my captain, I can tinker with my team,
yeah,
so my bench won't be as strong, and my keeper rotation, I might get it right.
yeah,
Uh,
doubt it, mate. So but I'm feeling good about it. So yes, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to follow us on social media platforms, Off Pod, Off P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And then I'm sure Baz and I'll do another one of these. Probably, I'd have thought. after match day three, I'd have thought, probably before the round of 16,
Yeah.
just to give our thoughts on how you should be using your unlimited transfers going into the round of 16. And then if we can be asked, we'll do another one before the final. If not, we'll probably do another one after the final, I'd have thought. We'll see how we feel. We'll see what timing's like. Baz is too busy knocking people's heads off these days. Um,
Well, trying to, mate. Trying to actually not get a busted nose, mate, to be fair.
and I'm too
So,
busy drinking Peroni. So
yeah, why not, mate? Yeah. Should we create a league or just leave the? Well, we'll just use the FPL Fairs one, and we'll look at that. I
yeah,
think
I think
that's
that's a great idea. We'll get that code shared, shall we? And we'll just make sure that we'll all get involved with it and join in with that. But thanks so much for everyone for joining us. Yes, and all the best moving forward with this game of fantasy football. If you decide to foray into it and play, and we'll probably see you before the round of 16. Goodbye for now.